Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and some more bolt action coverage for you guys. So we picked up another book here, and this one is the Ostfront book, or Ostfront. So Barbarossa to Berlin. So this is great, obviously, for all Eastern Front fans and enthusiasts. So, Germans, Soviets, I believe even the Finns have a little bit of stuff in here. So just a fantastic book. One of the older ones. But, when you pair this with newer things like Stalingrad, wonderful campaign book they came out with recently, you can really just liven up the battles and scenarios that you have available to you and your hobby here for bolt action. So, as always, guys, we're going to, in this initial video here, just kind of do a quick sort of page through of the book, and then eventually we will work on series for all these campaign books and supplements, breaking things down in a little bit more detail. So again, if you're looking for a reason to get these, obviously if you're playing the armies involved, that's one. Certainly gives you more to do. But again, as always, you're basically picking up extra scenarios. And in most cases, actually even some Japanese units in here for battles in Manchuria and stuff. But anyway, so you're getting more scenarios. You're always getting some new units and new army lists and things like that. So, and often, depending on the theater, some new special rules for things like weather, terrain, and other unique things, again, tied to that theater. So, and as always, Warlord kind of walks you through sort of campaigns and things like that from historical timelines, so early, middle to late, as far as a particular front goes, and just how it developed over time. And so all these scenarios also not only let you fight some of these historic battles, but again, really pile on that extra detail. And especially if you're not familiar with it, it's great learning as well. So a quick summary here. So start off with that. I think it says Khalkhin Go, Winter War, Operation Barbarossa, of course. Would be weird if that wasn't a section of the book, right? Case Blue, and quite a bit more. So Citadel, Bagration to Berlin, as we're getting to the end of the war, right? And then new scenario rules, so things like snow, mud, ice, right? So again, if you really want to dig into some of the unique fighting conditions that were prevalent on the Eastern Front, this is a great way to go. But again, things like night fighting, minefields, and you'll see, a lot of these rules crop up multiple times across different campaign books. So, we haven't done the comparison yet to check and make sure that they're all like exactly the same, or if they function slightly differently. I would imagine going with whatever the newest book in this line of campaign books really says. But again, you just get so much stuff here. So, and this one, if it's, I'm trying to think here, yeah. So basically going to top out at about 111 pages of all kinds of great stuff. And so obviously, with some of the Eastern Front battles, it's not just the wide open plains and mud and all that, but obviously city battles that you can recreate there. And, obviously things like Stalingrad. So again, if you have that campaign book as well, you can really zoom in on, that one particularly famous battle. So again, Warlord will always kind of set the historical context and everything here for you before we really get into things. And for those not familiar, so obviously the Japanese had some earlier battles against the Soviets, I think in the late 30s. Some really good documentaries out on the interwebs as well, so really worth checking out. Did not go so well for the Japanese. Interesting what would have happened, though, if the Japanese had actually sort of relaunched more campaigns to try and link up with the Germans. But again, that could be a fun what-if campaign. But anyway, so cavalry clash, so all kinds of fun stuff here. And again, if nothing else, again, you're getting new scenarios to try out, which, if you're getting tired of the things from the main book, find a campaign book that fits what you and your group play, and just dive in, really. You shouldn't be getting bored with your hobby here. And again, these all just present so much stuff. New models to collect, new vehicles, things like that, right? Again, new army lists, so existing forces, existing minis that you have will get new uses, right? So, use of flags for the Japanese here. The Winter War, of course, again, you could almost, consider this book several, like, smaller books in one, really, right? Because we got the far Eastern Front, again, Manchuria, Siberia, that kind of stuff. with the Japanese and the Russians, but then the Winter War with the Finns and the Russians, and then obviously Barbarossa and Citadel and everything else with the Germans. Special characters. So I'm going to butcher his name, but Simo Haiha. So it's like the one of the best snipers ever, and again, really amazing story for him. Similarly, Larry Thorne, really just amazing story for him as well. Again, lots of great documentaries out on like YouTube and stuff, guys. Check those out. Really worth your time to learn about their history. So again, we get into the Red Army here, general scenarios. So apologize for the glare here. Let's see if we can't fix that. There we go. So envelopment, again, this is basically the generic scenarios, but we bring in unique things from the theater. So again, even something worth trying, take the generic scenarios and apply some of the theater special rules, like things for like ice, snow. If you're playing in the desert, retry these missions with sandstorms and other things that are unique in like the Western Desert books and stuff like that. So again, even there you can extend the life of those basic scenarios. So again, Red Army, Winter Forces here. So again, just lots and lots of things to really dive into. And if you already have your existing forces for the Soviets, again, generally you're going to get some new units and stuff to collect and build, or at least reuse existing units in different ways. But again, you got hobby opportunities, you got narrative opportunities with these books. Again, just really soak it all in, and just there's so much stuff you can do. I mean, if you want to get really into it on the terrain side, certainly just wonderful possibilities. So again, lots of great pictures here to accompany that. So again, lots of great things here. So other fun one, right? So, and doesn't just always have to be Eastern Front, right? Winter existed on the Western Front too. So things like frostbite, just really, really neat ideas here. Brandenburgers, awesome things there. Otto Skorzeny, a little bit more famous later in the war, but he was there. So, if you want some cool stuff for the German side, an Opel Blitz with a Flak 38 on it, good stuff. Again, into case blue, as far east as the Germans got. So Stalingrad, of course. Obviously, this book isn't going to focus too much on Stalingrad, but then again, you have a whole separate campaign book for it, right? Crossing the Volga, more Soviet units. Now, one thing to note, though, Warlord does not, at least currently, have a model for everything in every campaign book, and that's only one downside, I would say, criticizing the books. There's other companies out there that make stuff, of course, because these are historicals, so it's not like Warlord owns the IP for World War II or something like that. But that being said, it would be nice if there were more access to some of these oddball things that are out there. Now, kits aren't going to be cheap to produce, but somewhere, somehow, it would be nice to have some of these less common things in the right scale too. So, but again, do a little bit of digging online. You can find different companies that will also make just about everything. And sometimes you might just be slightly off in scale, but with 3D printing and everything now, really, the sky's the limit as well there. So, bringing in the Ferdinand for the first time, if you're playing, getting to Bagration and Kursk and stuff like that, right? So getting towards the end of the war, coming back towards Germany, bringing in the big boys, the King Tigers. That's where it's at. Obviously, later on, we get crazier things for the Soviets, like the IS-1s and IS-2s. Again, lots of fun stuff here. And, as we get towards the very end of the war, of course, again, Berlin, you could really take a lot of the tips and tricks that you're using and ways to make Stalingrad a fun battle, and even from that campaign book, and then apply it to a Battle of Berlin, and just, again, go in the opposite direction and just have the Germans defending their important city. So more stuff here. Luftfaust, Panzerfaust, Krumlauf, all these weird, goofy things. So the curved barrel assault rifles. I think this book even has some of the the early night vision stuff that the Germans had. Just again, bonkers stuff. So again, snow, ice, and frostbite and mud. Again, deep mud, thin ice. So again, really just implores you to go nuts with terrain that like winter terrain and winter versions of existing maps that you maybe have built or boards that you've built. So just that it's going to be a very different game when you're playing a normal board, summertime, fall, whatever. Maybe you're dealing with early spring mud, then you could recreate that same battle if you wanted to with the same terrain, but make it all winterized terrain. And you got other things to deal with there. So Kharkov and other things like that. So just so many possibilities. They're just really endless. And the more of these campaign books that you collect, I mean, you're just constantly widening the hobby and just really keeping the game fresh and things like that. So going nuts here with city fighting. And really, you can even play smaller games of bolt action, using the firefight rules, and almost having more like a kill team-esque experience there as you're again doing your house-to-house fighting. The effects of rubble and stuff like that. Sewers, if you really wanted to create some real vertical elements to your boards, right? Or even heck, most of a board that's mostly taking place in sewers of something like Stalingrad and stuff like that. So gain inspiration from all these things, guys. And then lastly, again, just a picture to finish things up here. So basically, a little bit on the smaller side compared to some of the newer campaign books, still clocking in at 112 pages. But Ostfront really gives you some great ideas again. So if you're playing Germans or Soviets, obviously this is for use. The Finns, of course, as well. And then, Japanese are also not forgotten in this. So, one of the lesser focused on aspects or periods of the war there, but that very early action with the Soviets and the Russians in the Far East. So there is at least one really good documentary on that really highlights some of the initial successes of the Japanese and then the very quick and rude sort of ejection of them from those territories by the Soviets. So can't recommend enough, guys. Again, only downside is maybe Warlord needing to make some more models for some of the less common things that are available in some of these campaign books. But overall, just a fantastic purchase. So let us know in the comments, guys, what you think of Ostfront. If you have the book, if you what aspects of it have you gamed the most, and what do you enjoy the most? Any of the special rules, anything new that you'd like to see from those books or this book in particular? And again, just let us know some of your most enjoyable battles that you've had on the various Eastern fronts. So thanks so much for stopping by as always, guys. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.